We are live. We are live. Welcome, everyone. Kim Kaiser here with my wonderful colleague, Julie Greenberg.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And we are going to share over the next about week and a half some interesting things about what we've discovered for ourselves around your unique business blueprint. I know as long as I've had a business, I honestly have always questioned whether am I doing exactly the right thing that I'm meant to do for my purpose? Is it structured the right way? I would also try things. Some things would work out perfectly, others wouldn't, and I really wanted to understand why. And Julie and I were comparing notes on our really genetic coding. That's what we're actually going to talk about today. And and we see some things really common that can truly help people be at ease and really enjoy their business, not to mention their lives, right? But that's what we're here to share over the next few days, some different aspects that we can look at, that we've looked at for ourselves, that have helped different clients that we've had. And we're just super excited to share. So I see people hopping on. So welcome, whether you're looking in on us from Facebook or from LinkedIn. Welcome, welcome. I see there's at least one familiar face. I see Jeanette is here with us, Julie. Will you say a little bit to put some context about this conversation we're going to have over the next bit?
I'm so excited. And it's interesting because as I listen to you talk, I think about my journey, and my journey really um, was about just nothing working, really
Hmm.
feeling stuck. And I'm so excited about what we're going to be talking about and what it is that we're going to be sharing with people, because the information that we have it's a game changer. I just define it as a game changer. And we are going to find clarity and direction. We are going to give you tools that will help you find clarity and direction. And I say we have found clarity and direction because of of what it is that we're going to share with you
Yeah,
over the next few
right.
days. Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. So, as you guys hop on, let us know you're here. It's awesome to know who's here. If you're watching the replay, also let us know you're watching it. As you have comments and questions, we'll come back to the threads on both formats and definitely respond. But so glad you all are joining us. So I'm thinking about how to contextualize this conversation really, and we're going to tell you kind of what we're talking about. But most people who are watching this, you probably got an email from me that said, we're going to talk about the fact that your unique genetic coding gives us some hints to what's going to work really well in your business. And day in, day out, my context is I work with business owners. I've been doing that for about almost 10 years, about to have my 10-year anniversary in January. And I help them grow their business basically by being more of who they are, working more in alignment with who they are as individuals. And there are some really interesting aspects through that genetic coding I keep talking about that really tell us a lot about ourselves and when we can accept that. And what we're talking about when I say genetic coding, here's what we mean. And Julie, you can come back in and fill in the blanks here. We're talking about a system called human design, and um, and we're going to talk about aligning to our unique designs, and that actually it's kind of yeah, set in our DNA since birth and actually a little bit before birth. And there's so much that we can tell from that that is really unique to each of us. And it will tell us things like, yeah, like in terms of our own energy and the energy we bring to our life and business, what really works, right? And it tells us kind of what is not going to work, what may burn us out instead of energizing us, right? That's a great thing to know, that we don't have to do by trial and error, right? What structure our business may want, the flavor of our message is, where our life purpose gets wrapped in there. And yeah, so Julie, please say your 2 cents. I know you're such an expert in this field.
Well, thank you for that. And as I'm sitting here listening to you talk, what comes up for me and what I love about you is that you simplify things. And one of the things that the human design chart does for us is it gives us a roadmap. And so it just is one of the greatest tools that I have found, and I have studied a number of systems. And when I found this one, that was it. I was done, and have seen and have experienced myself how this information can shift your life, can shift your
Yes.
perspective, because you learn how you're uniquely wired. And the gist of it is that we're all different. And so it just gives us information and insight into who we are and who we aren't. And I think that in this world of uncertainty that we all live in, it's really great to have something that's really grounded in truth, that really kind of brings you back into alignment, so that you can learn how to navigate your life, and how to learn how to navigate your business. And it's
Yes.
all there. So I'm excited for us to bring our passions together and really create and share simple tools and techniques and information that can get us back on track with what it is
Yes.
that we're looking for.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned that you'd gone down a lot of different tracks. Me too. As a coach, I did this even as back in my corporate days. I did this. I did a lot to learn about myself and learn about other people. And so I would use things like DISC, which is beloved to me still. I love DISC. Myers-Briggs, there's Strength Finders, there's all these different things that people use. And the difference in what we're talking about, like this is, to me, is the big differentiator, and why things clicked into place so concretely and rather quickly after I found out much more about my human design, about this genetic coding. The thing about the other assessments that I was mentioning, and like many assessments out there, the user is the one reporting on themselves. So by nature of that, um, your own self-awareness is baked into the results we get from DISC and that sort. So, if a person's really, really self-aware, there's going to be pretty valid information that comes from those. But if a person is not self-aware, if they're massively stressed, if they're going through a real roller coaster time period in their life, then those reports don't have as much validity. Just to be honest, there's a lot of history with that, and it's not that they're useless, because they're not. They're useful, but to me, when you put reports like that in the context of human design, it's a totally different ball game. It's a totally different ball game, because human design and the gene keys, which we also talk about, they're really, yeah, tightly woven together. I would say complementary systems. They just tell us things that we couldn't possibly know about ourselves, or they confirm things about ourselves that we couldn't possibly confirm without this sort of level of analysis.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the other thing that's really great is that in our own learning, I too have been a seeker and a searcher, and have studied, and I have done, the same things. But human design has really helped me to understand that it's just about mechanics, and it's just about how we come together, and the impact that we make when we understand the mechanics. So not only has human design really helped me to have more awareness, insight, and information about who I am, gives me a better understanding of how other people work and how we interact together. And I think in business, this is so crucial. In relationships, it's so crucial.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and ultimately, it just comes down to mechanics. First and foremost, though, it comes down to the awareness of the mechanics. And the awareness is the huge part of this whole conversation. And I think that, I've done so many readings, and I always say awareness is the first step. And the other thing I say is that the learning of these tools will either remind you of who you are and confirm people are
Yes.
always like, I always knew it. I always knew it, that I'm doing that now, or I always knew. Or in my case, oh my goodness, that's who I am. because mine was such a game changer in terms of the awareness of how out of alignment I am, and how the chart gave me insight into that information. And it explained why my business wasn't working. It explained why I was energetically strained, it drained. It explained why I feel like I'm always having to go, 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 go. It explained so much.
Yeah.
And I'm just so passionate about this information because it explains so much that it radically changed my life. So I just want everybody to know about it, and I know that you
Yeah.
do too. I mean, we have seen how it's impacted us both, and I think that's why we're so passionate about bringing a creative twist to the information
Yes.
and sharing it with the people that we know and love.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I mean, for me, when I came across this, I was probably like 8 years into my business then, and now it's almost 10. And I was like, there were certain things that really worked well in my business and certain things that didn't. And I couldn't really make sense of why certain things really just seemed to be like effortless and create a lot of results. And other things seemed like cutting my teeth and just got very, very vague, very, very incremental results. And one of the things that human design did for me, like really understanding my own, is it started me on a path of a deep level of self-acceptance, right? I mean, and like that's not something that typically, if we're thinking about business coaching, we're talking about, but but like a level of self-acceptance when people can accept who they are, their gifts, their strengths, but also their things that maybe they're not as equipped to do. It's really incredible because we can just then get to the business of being ourselves, which in my mind is the best business tool that any of us have. Like there is no need to put on, yeah, a different costume to go and be a successful business person. Actually, each of us is wired for success in our own very unique way. And the thing that human design did for me was just get me much more aligned to that, and helped me really make sense of my successes and my failures. So that was incredible, the level of self-acceptance.
It's so true. It's self-acceptance, and it's acceptance of other people too. And it's why we're doing this. It's why we're doing this. That we're all unique. We all have some unique expression within us that needs to be shared with the world. And when we are in alignment and when we show up authentically as who we are, that's how we make the greatest impact. And it all stems from self-acceptance and self-worth. Like
Yes.
that's the stuff. I mean, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the energetics. We'll be talking about the sparkly aura. We can get this complicated, or we can keep it simple. And the intention is to keep it simple. And more than anything, and giving people permission to be who they are, then when they show up
Yes.
being who they are, the magic happens. The sales fall into place, and it becomes easy and effortless. And I have witnessed these experiences myself, and I also know from you and your stories how this is really happening in your life. And it's happening because you're showing up and trusting your intuition, and you're being who you are.
Yes, yes, that's it. I was sharing with Julie earlier, and I'm going to share. She thought this would be a good story to share with you all. But I've had something happen just in the last week in my business where I have sat with my different clients, and it happens to be I've had meetings with 3 of my one-to-one clients, just all kind of right in a row last week, and was seen so deeply by them and reflected back the impact that I've made. And what one I'd gone to dinner with, and she reflected how her own leadership has grown as a result of us working together through the mentorship. And another invited me to Las Vegas to celebrate his team's success in January because he considers me part of the team. And yet another I went to lunch with just yesterday, and she was in tears about the session we just had and told me she talked about it at a dinner party. And so these things came boom, boom, boom right in a row for me, which was really unusual. I know people love working with me, but I don't get a lot of feedback about my work. I just see people change, their businesses grow, all this really cool stuff happens, but I don't get personal reflections like that very often, and certainly not 3 in a row. What's happening is that I and Julie has seen this because we have worked side by side on some things over the last 6 months, but I have begun to really own who I am and how I create clients and how I market myself. And I have shed some of the things that I'd learned that people taught me as good ideas, but don't really line up with who I am. And so what has happened as a result of that, and I've owned how I coach people, which is really, I know a lot about business strategy, but the real magic is when I go deep with them in terms of their own self-acceptance. Like really, that's, if I'm really boiling it down, getting them in line, with them, with their most, their highest, deepest self. That's what's really changed, is that I'm getting reflections because I'm in alignment, right? Because I've learned to, like, I don't have to do it the way everybody else is doing it. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to have a lot of research. Like, my people don't need research, right? It's like, but owning that for myself, it's really big, and that's what I want for other people. This is
Yeah.
what I want for other people.
And this is what our intention is, and I'm excited about it. And we will show examples of charts, and we will go deeper into um to the understanding, not to go deep into human design, but more to give people a visual representation of the energetics, and that we're all wired differently. And human design
Yes.
is the science of differentiation. And so there is no one-stop shop. There can't be. We're all wired
Right.
differently. And what we intend to do is give you a little insight into how you're wired and how you can most effectively and efficiently use aspects of who you are, to grow your business and to keep a smile on your face, and have synchronicity fall into place all the
Yes.
time as confirmation that you are in alignment, which is
Yes.
what you represent. So
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So we're going to wrap this one for today, but watch for us Wednesday and Friday, 1 p.m. Central. Again, we're going to go into different little segments. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about some of the things we sort of have on our minds to talk about the next, and then next week we're going to go live a couple times too. We're going to confirm time frames and that sort of thing. These will also be posted on YouTube, on a playlist as well in my YouTube channel. So there are plenty of ways to keep watching, but Julie, talk a little bit about the little segments, little snippets we're going to give over the
yeah,
next few days.
so we're going to talk about energetics. We can not, and that's just how we navigate our path and the role that we play. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of diving into to awareness through understanding who we're not, so we better understand who we are. One of the things that happens is we're stuck. And why are we stuck? And so when we go into the chart, we can find out areas that we're stuck, and our intention for doing that is to get you unstuck.
Yes.
So we're going to be looking at different aspects of the chart, different centers of the chart that represent, everything has messages, and we'll put the chart up and we'll explain it later. But we're going to go a little bit into who we're not so that we can go into who we are. We're going to talk about the energetics of our aura. We're going to talk about the roles that we're really here to play, and the costumes that we wear when we play those roles, because we're all wired differently. And so some of us are here to be deep researchers. Some of us are here to build our businesses through networking and relationships, which is, Kim and I have that in common. We're very deeply connected to the relationships, and that's what brings the growth of our business. But not everybody's wired that way. Some people are wired to navigate the masses. So we're going to go into some information about that. We're going to go into what I think is one of the most important aspects of business, which is following your passion, following
Mm,
your soul's passion and putting that into the marketing. It's all in the chart. We're going to talk about messaging and where we can find out that information. And again, how to tie it all back. Into who you are and what your unique message is. And when Kim and I were talking about this, we were really, we were using the analogy of ice cream in a way. I have to say this because I think it's
I
really
love this.
true. I think it's really true. We each are unique, and we all have our very special secret recipe. And there's all different types of ingredients that go into that recipe. And so we want to help you find what your delicious recipe is. So that's just a little bit of what's coming up. But we're excited. We're excited to get you on track, and we're excited to do it in a way that's soulful and creative and fun and impactful. And yeah, we're just excited. We're just
Yes,
excited.
we are super excited. So again, we'll be back on Wednesday and Friday, and then some next week, 1 p.m. Central. And this will lead into, at some point along the way, we're going to tell you about a little program that we have coming up in January. But we'll do that later. We'll do that deeper into the lives, and we hope that you all, yeah, get the sense that really you can do business the way that is perfectly meant for you to do business. It can probably be a lot more effortless than it is for you now. You can enjoy it in a way that is, yeah, that maybe you haven't experienced before. Like I know for me, and then I will wrap because we are going, well, we thought 10 minutes, we're at about 21. But anyway, but I always thought that work had to be work. Like even though I was doing my life purpose in it through coaching and mentorship, I just felt like there was some level of it that needed to be at a struggle. And I kept creating that. And what I see now is like, oh, there's actually not. We don't have to struggle with this. We can really enjoy it. We can be richly rewarded. We can give all of our gifts. But the big thing is the business has to be aligned to our unique genetic coding, that design.
Yep. Yep.
So we look forward to coming back again. If you guys are here, if you catch us on replay, let us know you're here. Let us know your questions or comments. We'd love some interaction. That'd be fantastic. But it's been a pleasure to be here with you today. Again, we will see you again Wednesday at 1 p.m. And then there will also be a YouTube playlist sent out as well. Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful. Bye.
Bye.